There are moments in life when everything around us feels uncertain, when we are caught in the middle of confusion, doubt, and fear. At these times, we are often faced with a powerful question. Can we still trust when we don't understand? The weight of that question can be overwhelming because trust is something that often feels like it requires clarity, understanding, and a sense of control. Without these things, how are we supposed to trust? Yet, there is a profound and unwavering truth that guides us through these times. Trust is not contingent upon understanding. Trust is an act of faith, a choice that transcends the limits of human comprehension. It is in the absence of understanding that trust becomes the very thing that carries us forward. When you stand at the edge of the unknown and the path ahead is shrouded in darkness, it is easy to become paralyzed by fear. Fear of what might happen, fear of what we cannot control, fear of the uncertainty that we cannot predict. And in that fear, we often struggle to find the strength to keep moving forward. Our minds race with questions that have no easy answers. Why did this happen? Why am I facing this situation? What is the purpose behind this struggle? The natural instinct is to seek understanding, to demand answers, to have everything make sense in order for us to feel safe. But the truth is, understanding is not always a luxury we can afford, and the answers we seek may never come in the way we expect. In these moments, we are faced with a choice: to give in to fear and let the lack of understanding paralyze us, or to trust in something greater than ourselves. Trust is the bridge that connects us to the future, even when the path is unclear. It is the courage to keep walking forward, one step at a time, even when we cannot see where we are going. Trusting when we don't understand means that we allow ourselves to lean into the uncertainty, to surrender our need for answers, and to walk in faith, knowing that we are not walking alone. Trust is not passive, it is active. It is a choice we make every day, often in the face of fear, confusion, and disappointment. It is easy to trust when everything is going well, when the path is smooth and the way is clear. But true trust is tested in the moments of difficulty, when everything feels uncertain. It is in those moments that trust becomes more than just a word, it becomes a lifeline. When we don't understand why things are happening the way they are, when our plans fall apart, when our hearts are broken, trust is what holds us together. It is the assurance that even when we cannot see the bigger picture, there is a purpose unfolding that we cannot yet perceive. Understanding is limited. Our human minds can only comprehend so much. We try to make sense of everything, to explain the unexplainable, to find logic in the illogical. But there are some things in life that we simply cannot understand. There are moments when the pain, the confusion, and the uncertainty feel too great to bear. And in those moments, we may question why we must endure such hardship. We may wonder why life has taken us down such a difficult path. But we must remember that even in those times, there is something greater than our understanding at work. Trusting when we don't understand means acknowledging that we are not the authors of our own story. There is a bigger story being written, one that we are a part of, but not in control of. We are not meant to have all the answers, nor are we meant to understand everything that happens to us. Life has a way of unfolding in ways we cannot always predict, and the twists and turns we face are often beyond our comprehension. But even in the midst of those twists and turns, we are being guided. The trust we place in the unseen hand that directs our lives is what enables us to move forward with confidence, even when the way ahead is unclear. There is a deep peace that comes with trust. It is not a peace that comes from having everything figured out, but a peace that comes from knowing that we are not alone. Trust allows us to release the need to control every outcome, to let go of the burden of trying to understand everything that happens. When we trust, we free ourselves from the weight of anxiety and doubt, and we open ourselves to the possibility that there is something greater at work behind the scenes. Trust is the belief that even when we don't understand the why, the how, or the what, there is a purpose being worked out that is beyond our comprehension. Trusting when we don't understand also means embracing the mystery of life. Life is filled with questions that don't always have immediate answers. We can spend a lifetime seeking to understand every detail, but some things remain shrouded in mystery. And that is okay. The beauty of life is not always in the answers, but in the journey itself. Trusting when we don't understand is about finding peace in the journey, even when the destination is unclear. It is about walking through the uncertainty with the knowledge that in time, everything will make sense. We may not see the end from the beginning, but we can trust that we are being led to a place of purpose and fulfillment. Trusting when we don't understand is also about surrender. Surrendering our need for control, surrendering our desire for clarity, and surrendering our expectations. When we surrender, we open ourselves to the possibility of something greater than we could ever imagine. Surrender is not about giving up. It is about letting go. Letting go of the need to figure everything out and allowing ourselves to be guided by something bigger than ourselves. It is in surrender that we find the freedom to move forward without fear, knowing that we are being held in a space of infinite love and grace. There are no guarantees in life. We don't know what tomorrow will bring, and we can't predict the future. But we can trust that no matter what comes, we are not alone. We are not walking this journey by ourselves. Even when we don't understand why things happen the way they do, we can trust that there is a plan unfolding that we may not yet see. And in that trust, we find the strength to keep going, to keep believing, and to keep moving forward. The truth is, we may never fully understand everything that happens in our lives. We may never get all the answers to the questions that weigh on our hearts, but we can choose to trust even when we don't understand. Trusting is not about knowing everything. It is about knowing that we are held by something greater than ourselves. It is the confidence that even in the darkest of times, there is a light guiding us forward. And when we trust in that light, when we trust in the journey, we find peace that surpasses understanding. Trust is not dependent on understanding or clarity. It is a choice to move forward, even when the path is uncertain and the reasons behind our struggles remain unknown. True trust requires action, especially in difficult moments. It is about continuing to take steps in faith, even when we cannot see the bigger picture, knowing we are guided by something greater than ourselves. Some things in life will remain beyond our comprehension, and that's okay. Trusting when we don't understand means accepting the mystery, surrendering our need for control, and finding peace in the journey, regardless of the outcome. Trust is one of the most powerful forces in human existence, yet it is often misunderstood or taken for granted. When life is smooth, when everything is going according to plan, trust feels simple, even natural. But when the storms hit, when the ground beneath us shakes, and the world around us feels uncertain, trust becomes something far more complex. It becomes a choice, a decision to move forward despite not having all the answers. It's a declaration of faith, even when the future seems unclear. The idea that trust transcends understanding is both profound and essential, especially in moments when we are confronted by circumstances that leave us questioning everything. In our daily lives, we often seek understanding. We want to know why things happen, how they will unfold, and what the outcome will be. We live in a world where certainty provides comfort, and the absence of understanding breeds anxiety. But the reality of life is that it is filled with unpredictability and mystery. Things don't always make sense, and sometimes the answers we crave are not immediately available. This is where trust comes in. Trust doesn't require us to have everything figured out. In fact, it often thrives in the very space where understanding falls short. To trust when we don't understand is to acknowledge that there is something greater than our own limited perspective at work. It is to recognize that we are not the sole architects of our lives, and that there are forces at play beyond our comprehension. The human desire for answers, explanations, and control often clashes with the reality that life is not always something we can control or fully explain. It is in these moments of surrendering the need for total understanding that we discover the depth of trust. Trusting in the midst of uncertainty asks us to let go of our human instinct to question, to control, and to demand logic. It asks us to allow the unknown to be a space of potential rather than a place of fear. For example, when facing a challenge that seems insurmountable, the question that often rises is, why is this happening to me? We search for reasons, look for patterns, and try to make sense of the chaos around us. But what if the answer isn't in understanding the why, but in trusting the process itself? What if the journey, in all its complexity and confusion, is the point? Trust, in this case, is not about having all the details. It's about believing that there is meaning and purpose beyond our current comprehension. We live in a world that prizes understanding, often equating it with control and safety. It's easy to trust when everything is clear, when the road is paved and the destination is visible. But true trust is tested in the absence of these things. It's in the fog of uncertainty that trust becomes not just a passive sentiment, but an active choice. It is not simply the act of believing something will work out, but the willingness to remain steadfast, to continue moving forward, even when we don't know how things will unfold. In moments of great difficulty, we often feel like we need to have a reason for everything, to be able to rationalize what is happening. However, it is in releasing the need for answers that trust becomes the very thing that carries us through. When we allow trust to transcend understanding, we begin to accept that we will never fully understand everything. This acceptance doesn't make the situation easier, nor does it diminish the difficulty of our circumstances, but it allows us to let go of the burden of needing to know everything. Trust becomes our lifeline when we are faced with situations that seem senseless or impossible to grasp. It becomes the anchor that keeps us grounded when the winds of confusion blow fiercely around us. It is in these moments that trust becomes a conscious decision to keep moving forward, even when we cannot see the way ahead. Trusting beyond understanding also asks us to confront our fears. Fear often arises in the unknown, in the absence of certainty. We fear what we cannot see, what we cannot predict. And in this fear, we can become paralyzed. The lack of understanding can cause us to freeze, to hesitate, or to doubt. But trust is not about eliminating fear. It is about choosing to move forward despite it. Trust is the courage to face uncertainty head on, to keep walking through the fog without needing to know exactly what lies ahead. It is the willingness to take the next step, even when we cannot see the next mile. Trust is not the absence of fear, but the decision to press on in its presence. In this way, trust becomes a transformative force in our lives. It challenges our dependency on control and certainty, and in doing so, it opens up a space for growth. It invites us to stretch beyond our limitations, beyond our understanding, and into a deeper connection with the world around us. When we trust in the process, even when we cannot see the outcome, we are able to relinquish the need for immediate answers and simply allow life to unfold as it will. Trust in this sense is about surrendering to the flow of life, knowing that although we cannot control every aspect, we are still part of something much larger than ourselves. There is a beauty in the uncertainty that comes with not knowing. It is in the unknown that we often find the greatest opportunities for growth and transformation. The most significant changes in our lives are rarely planned or understood in advance. Often, it is only in hindsight that we can see how the pieces of our journey have fallen into place. The times we feel the most lost, the most confused, are often the very times when the most profound growth is taking place. Trust allows us to embrace this process, to hold on to the belief that everything is unfolding as it should, even when we cannot see how or why. Trusting beyond understanding also invites us to cultivate patience. Patience is an essential element of trust. It is the ability to wait, to endure, and to remain faithful even when we don't have all the answers. In our fast-paced world, we often expect quick fixes and immediate results. We want to know now, to have things resolved instantly. But trust requires us to be patient with the process. It requires us to acknowledge that some answers take time, that some outcomes unfold gradually, and that not everything happens on our timeline. Patience teaches us that we can trust the timing of life, even when it does not align with our own expectations. Moreover, trust that transcends understanding allows us to surrender our need for control. It's natural to want to control our lives, to steer them in the direction we desire. But trust teaches us that we do not always have the power to control the outcome. We do not always have the power to change the course of events. And that is okay. Trust is about letting go of the illusion of control and embracing the flow of life as it comes. It is about accepting that there are things outside of our control and that, despite this, we can still move forward with confidence and peace. We may not be able to control everything, but we can trust that there is purpose and meaning, even when we can't see it. Ultimately, trust that transcends understanding is about faith. It is the belief that even when we cannot comprehend the reasons behind our struggles, there is a greater purpose at work. It is the confidence that we are part of a larger narrative, a story that we may not fully understand, but that is being woven together in a way that is beyond our limited view. It is the belief that even in the midst of hardship, there is hope. Trust is the faith that what we are experiencing is not meaningless, and that, despite the confusion and the difficulty, we are being shaped, molded, and guided towards something greater than we can currently perceive. In moments of doubt and fear, we can always return to the core truth that trust does not require understanding. It requires faith, patience, and the willingness to walk forward without knowing exactly what comes next. Trust is not about having all the answers, but about choosing to believe that even when we don't understand, we are still being held. Trust is not passive. It is a living, breathing force that sustains us when life becomes difficult and uncertain. It is the strength to keep moving forward step by step, even when the way ahead is unclear. Trust is the force that transcends understanding, that allows us to live fully in the present, knowing that we are not alone and that everything is unfolding as it should. Trust is not something that just happens passively. It is an active force that requires intention, engagement, and commitment. While many think of trust as something that exists simply because we believe in the reliability or dependability of someone or something, it's more than just an emotion or passive sentiment. Trust is a choice, one we must continuously make in both moments of peace and chaos, through both clarity and confusion. It isn't a simple agreement to believe that things will work out, but rather a daily, conscious decision to lean in, to act in alignment with our faith, and to move forward in the face of uncertainty. We are conditioned to think of trust as a quiet and internal thing, something we feel deep down but rarely see in action. But when we really consider what trust means on a deeper level, it becomes clear that it is in fact one of the most active things we can do in our lives. Trust involves the body, the mind, and the spirit. It involves how we respond to challenges, how we engage with others, and how we move through the world with the belief that everything will unfold as it is meant to. To trust is to choose to move forward, to continue, and to engage fully in life, regardless of the circumstances. The idea that trust is active becomes especially important when we think about the difficulties we face in life. Trust is put to the test in moments of doubt, when the ground feels unsteady and when the outcome seems uncertain. It is easy to trust when everything is going well, when the pieces are falling into place, and when we can see a clear path forward. But what happens when the road ahead is foggy, when the future seems unknown, or when everything appears to be falling apart? This is when trust truly becomes active. It is no longer just a feeling or a passive belief. It becomes a choice, one that we must actively make every day. In moments like these, trust demands more of us. It asks us to believe even when we can't see, to take steps even when the path is unclear. When trust is active, it manifests in our actions, thoughts, and behaviors. It's not just a feeling we hold in our hearts, but something we express through our actions. Active trust looks like showing up every day, even when we don't know the outcome. It's about continuing to work hard and put in the effort, even when it seems like progress isn't happening. It's about choosing to believe that things will improve, even when the situation doesn't immediately reflect that belief. Active trust is the act of moving forward in faith, even when it feels uncomfortable or uncertain. It's not about standing still and waiting for things to happen, but about engaging with life, doing the work, and making choices that reflect our belief in what is yet to come. In relationships, trust is also active. It isn't simply a matter of believing that others will always be there for us, but also of showing up for them in return. Trust requires vulnerability. It demands that we open ourselves up to others, even when we may fear the possibility of disappointment or hurt. But being vulnerable is an act of trust in itself. We trust others by letting them into our lives, sharing our truths, and allowing them to be part of our journey. But it's not just one-sided. It requires both parties to actively engage. Trust in relationships grows when both individuals make the choice every day to show up for each other, to listen, to support, and to be present. To trust someone means that you are actively choosing to believe in their intentions, in their commitment, and in their character, even when you might not fully understand their actions. In other words, trust involves making the decision to believe in others even when the evidence may not fully support it. It's easy to trust someone when everything is going right and their actions align with our expectations. However, trust is most often built in the moments when things go wrong or when someone doesn't meet our expectations. It is in these moments that trust is most actively required. Choosing to still believe, to still show up, and to still give of ourselves in those difficult moments is where the real power of active trust comes into play. The same holds true when it comes to trusting ourselves. Trusting ourselves is not about waiting for the perfect circumstances to act, but about actively choosing to move forward with what we know, with what we have, and with the belief that we are capable. Too often, we wait for certainty before taking action. We hold ourselves back, hoping that we will have all the information or all the clarity we need before we make our next move. But active trust means recognizing that we don't need all the answers to take the next step. It's about believing in our ability to handle whatever comes our way, even when we don't know how things will unfold. When we trust ourselves actively, we take responsibility for our decisions. We acknowledge our strengths and weaknesses, and we keep pushing forward, even in the face of fear or doubt. Trusting ourselves isn't about never making mistakes, but about being willing to make choices, to take risks, and to learn from the experiences along the way. It's the act of trusting ourselves enough to keep trying, even when the outcome isn't guaranteed. It is through this active engagement with life that we grow, evolve, and strengthen our relationship with ourselves. Another critical aspect of trust being active is the way it influences our mindset and perspective. Trust isn't something that just happens in a moment of stillness. It's something that can change the way we approach the world around us. When we choose to trust actively, we approach challenges with a mindset of possibility rather than fear. Instead of being consumed by what we don't know or what we fear might happen, we focus on what we can control and the actions we can take. This mindset doesn't just keep us moving forward in difficult situations. It also opens us up to the opportunities that might exist, even in the face of adversity. Active trust allows us to be flexible and adaptable, to adjust to the circumstances as they unfold, and to make choices based on what we believe will move us closer to our goals, even when the exact path forward isn't clear. In essence, trust becomes an ongoing dialogue between what we believe and how we act. It's not a one-time decision, but a continual process, one that we reinforce with each step we take. Trusting actively requires us to stay engaged with the journey, even when the road is long or challenging. It requires us to consistently choose to believe, to keep moving forward, and to take deliberate actions in line with our faith. It's easy to be passive when things are going well, but the true test of trust comes when things are difficult, or when the future is unclear. It's then that we must remain steadfast in our belief and active in our commitment to the process, even when it feels like nothing is happening. The act of trusting actively also requires us to be present. Trusting in the future is not the same as ignoring the present. To trust actively means that we are fully engaged with what is happening now, while simultaneously holding faith in what is to come. It requires us to show up in the present moment, to do the work, to take action, and to believe in the unfolding process, even when we cannot see the end result. Trust that is active requires mindfulness and focus. As we continually make the choice to engage with life and take the steps necessary to move toward what we hope for. In conclusion, trust is not a passive emotion or a simple belief. It is an active, ongoing process that requires us to engage with life, to make choices, and to move forward even when the outcome is unclear. Trust is not just about hoping for the best. It is about believing and acting on that belief, even in the face of uncertainty. When we trust actively, we don't simply wait for things to happen. We make things happen. We take steps, we make choices, and we continue to believe even when we don't fully understand. Trust is a dynamic force that moves us forward, and it is through our active engagement with it that we find the strength to persevere, to grow, and to reach the potential that lies ahead. Life is filled with mystery. We are all familiar with it. The questions that linger in the air, the experiences that feel inexplicable, the moments where we stand in awe without fully understanding why something is happening. For some, this mystery feels like a void, a space of uncertainty that breeds discomfort, confusion, and even fear. The unknown can seem threatening, leaving us desperate for clarity, for answers, for control. But what if we could shift our perspective? What if instead of running from the unknown, we embraced it? What if we allowed the mystery of life to enrich us, to teach us, and to guide us toward a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us? Embracing the mystery of life requires us to let go of the need for absolute certainty. We live in a world that prioritizes knowledge, clarity, and predictability. We are taught from a young age that answers exist for everything and that understanding is a means of control. We learn to seek out facts, to make sense of the world, and to eliminate confusion. While knowledge is undoubtedly powerful, there is something equally powerful in accepting that not everything needs to be understood. There is wisdom in surrendering to the mysteries that surround us, trusting that they hold lessons and opportunities for growth that we might never discover if we insisted on having all the answers. The first step in embracing the mystery is acknowledging that life does not always follow a logical or predictable pattern. We can make plans, set goals, and work tirelessly toward achieving them, but sometimes life takes unexpected turns. And opportunities arise that we didn't foresee, challenges emerge that we never anticipated, relationships form and end in ways we can't explain. These twists and turns, though often unsettling, are an integral part of the human experience. Life is unpredictable, and that is both its challenge and its beauty. To embrace this mystery is to open ourselves up to the possibility that what we don't understand may be just as important, if not more so, than what we do. Many people fear uncertainty because they associate it with chaos or failure. The unknown can seem like a threat to our stability, a force that could disrupt the plans we've worked so hard to establish. But what if uncertainty is not something to be feared, but rather something to be celebrated? What if the uncertainty of life is a space for creativity, for exploration, and for personal transformation? It is in the unknown that we are free from the constraints of what we think we know. It is here in the mystery that we can stretch beyond our comfort zones and discover new possibilities we might never have imagined. To embrace the mystery of life is to cultivate a sense of curiosity. Curiosity invites us to approach life with an open mind, free from the need for answers. It encourages us to explore without a fixed destination, to ask questions without expecting immediate responses. When we embrace curiosity, we no longer feel the pressure to have everything figured out. Instead, we allow ourselves to experience life as a journey where each step reveals something new. We learn to trust the process of discovery, knowing that the answers, if they come at all, will reveal themselves when the time is right. Curiosity also fosters a sense of wonder. There is something deeply awe-inspiring about the mysteries of the world, the vastness of the universe, the intricacies of nature, the complexity of the human experience. These mysteries invite us to pause and appreciate the beauty of life as it unfolds, even when we don't fully understand why things are happening the way they are. Wonder reminds us that life is not something to be controlled, but something to be experienced. When we embrace the mystery, we open ourselves up to the possibility of awe, of being deeply moved by the world around us. We allow ourselves to experience life in all its fullness, without the need to explain everything away. In the face of life's mysteries, it's important to remember that not all questions need to be answered. There is value in allowing some things to remain unknown, to live with the uncertainty and ambiguity that life brings. In fact, some of the most profound lessons come from those moments when we don't have all the answers. It is in the space of mystery that we learn to trust ourselves, to trust others, and to trust the process of life. Trust allows us to step into the unknown with confidence, knowing that even if we don't understand, we are still moving in the right direction. Trust is the belief that even when life feels uncertain, we are being guided towards something greater. One of the greatest gifts of embracing the mystery of life is the freedom it brings. When we let go of the need to control or to fully understand everything, we free ourselves from the constraints of our own expectations. We no longer feel the pressure to have everything figured out, and instead, we become more willing to surrender to the flow of life. This surrender doesn't mean that we stop taking action or making decisions. Rather, it means that we stop trying to force things into a predetermined mold. We trust that life will unfold as it is meant to, and we allow ourselves to be part of the unfolding process. In embracing the mystery, We also learn to let go of the need for perfection. Life is messy, imperfect, and full of contradictions. We are often faced with situations that don't make sense, with experiences that challenge our beliefs and assumptions. But it is in these moments of imperfection that we grow the most. Embracing the mystery allows us to release the need for things to be neat, tidy, and predictable. Instead, we learn to accept life as it is, with all its complexities and contradictions. We accept that there will always be things we don't understand, and that's okay. We don't have to have all the answers to live a fulfilling and meaningful life. Sometimes the beauty is found in the mystery itself. Another key aspect of embracing the mystery of life is learning to be present. We often spend so much time focusing on the future, on what we want to achieve or where we want to go, that we miss the beauty of the present moment. The mystery of life is not something that exists only in the future or the past. It is something that is unfolding right now, in every moment. When we embrace the mystery, we learn to be fully present, to savor the experiences we are having without the need to analyze or control them. We let go of the need to predict the future and simply experience what is happening in the present moment. This presence also allows us to be more attuned to the lessons that life is trying to teach us. Life doesn't always follow a linear path, and often the greatest lessons come from the most unexpected places. When we embrace the mystery, we become more open to learning from the experiences and people around us. We see challenges as opportunities for growth, and we learn to find meaning in even the most difficult circumstances. The mystery of life holds countless lessons, some of which we may never fully understand. But when we embrace the mystery, we allow ourselves to learn from those lessons, knowing that they are shaping us into the people we are meant to become. Embracing the mystery also teaches us patience. In a world that values instant gratification, it can be difficult to accept that some things take time to unfold. We want answers now, we want solutions now, and we want to know where we are going. But life doesn't always work that way. Sometimes we have to wait for the answers to emerge, for the lessons to reveal themselves, for the pieces of the puzzle to fall into place. Embracing the mystery means having the patience to trust that everything will come together in its own time. It means allowing ourselves to sit with the unknown, knowing that eventually the answers will come when we are ready for them. The mystery of life is not something to be feared, it is something to be celebrated. It is in the unknown that we find room for growth, for discovery, and for transformation. It is in the mystery that we learn to trust, to let go, and to be fully present in the moment. When we embrace the mystery, we free ourselves from the need to control, to understand, and to predict. We open ourselves up to the infinite possibilities that life has to offer. The mystery is not something to be solved, but something to be lived, experienced, and explored. Life is not meant to be fully understood. It is meant to be embraced in all its beauty, complexity,